Good evening, everybody. How are we doing this fine evening? My name is Amelia Villalbazo-Dick, and I am the Director of Academy Giving and Community Engagement at Great Hearts Live Oak. And I just want to say thank you guys for being here. I wish that we could be doing this in person in our beautiful NPR as we usually do in a normal school year. But as you guys know, this is not a normal school year, so we are having this event virtually. So thank you for tuning in. This evening, we are going to talk about what community investment is, why we support Race for it, and why it is important for our school and for our students. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Here we go. So obviously, like I just said, we're going to be talking about community investment at GLOW and what that means for our school. So for those of you who may not have seen me before, I am the Director of Academy Giving and Community Engagement. And so what that means is I am the person responsible for ensuring that our school raises and closes the gap in funding that we have as a public charter school. So we'll be talking about the granular details of what that looks like. But I'm also the Director of community engagement. So all the newsletters, I'm the one that writes, the Facebook posts, the Instagram things, all of the fundraising events, any kind of parent-related communication. I'm usually the one that writes it and pushes that out. So if you ever see any typos, sorry, it's my fault. And so in all of our Great Hearts schools in Texas, there is a Director of Academy Giving and Community Engagement in every school. And so there's a team of us on the development team for Great Hearts Texas. And we work together to make sure that each of our schools are funded and trying to close that gap. And so I am excited to tell you a little bit about it. It is not common knowledge, what I'm going to discuss, just because it's something that typically isn't really talked about. And so I'm excited to get to educate you guys on what that looks like for our school. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's just start off with, what is a charter school? Many people have the misconception that charter schools are private schools or that charter schools are not public schools. And there is a myth that charter schools are not, quote, real public schools. And that is simply not true. The fact is, public charter schools are simply that. They are public schools. They're authorized by the state. They're open to any student who wants to enroll, just like a traditional public school, and do not charge tuition. So families apply for seats at charter schools using short, simple applications. And then at Great Hearts, we have a lottery system so that students that do get into our school, it's equitable across the board. So if anyone ever says, charter schools aren't public schools, that simply is not true. And I think that that's a big misconception and an important one to correct when understanding how public funding works, because they both tie into each other. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, so public school funding, charter school funding, excuse me. So charters have two funding sources. We have state money and we have state INS, which stands for Insurance and Supply, I think is what it stands for. Whereas traditional public schools, like your ISDs, right? So like your Northside ISD, your SAISD, those kinds of larger districts, they have four sources of funding, whereas we only have two. So that's where the main difference comes in. And a lot of the money that they get for ISDs come from property taxes. They come from the state, they come from the federal government. And we don't get the local revenue portion of that. So think about how much money you spend a year in property taxes if you own a home. A chunk of that goes to your ISD, whether or not you have children, whether or not your kids go to that school or not, you're paying into that regardless. And so those monies funnel straight into the school and the school districts, whereas at a charter school like Great Hearts, we don't get those monies. And so that's why our funding gap is as substantial as it is, because we're not getting that additional funding. So if you can see on the chart on the left, you can see the charter school funding says $9,500 per student per year. Now that is an approximate estimate of how much money we get per student per year. The average actually for Great Hearts is anywhere from $7,500 to $9,500. So depending on what the legislator does in the Texas legislator, they pass different amounts every year. They pass different bills every year. As of last year, this was the average that we were getting was $9,500 per student. So as you can see next to it, ISDs are getting $11,397 per student. So they're getting a substantially higher number per student than we are. So obviously that is where the nature of our funding gap comes in. So if you look at this pie graph, the traditional ISD funding, 62% of it comes from local tax revenue. So as I said, most of their funding comes from the local taxes, whereas we get none of it. Nothing that the ISD schools around us get. So like the Universal City schools, any of the, I'm trying to think, the Live Oak community schools around in that part of town, they receive all that funding, whereas we do not receive any of that. And so that kind of helps thinking about when I'm going to talk about how much the funding gap is. That'll probably make more sense. So most of it is the tax revenue. 30% is, from the state, the money that we get from the state, other local sources, and then federal sources as well for, your IEDEA, your special education students and populations like that. So I'm going to keep going. So charter school funding per pupil. This is what ours looks like for our charter schools, Great Hearts and other charter schools. So I said earlier, get $9,500 per charter school student on average. So that's about 94. That's actually less than 94%. I had to switch the numbers a little bit because our funding went down. But less than 94% of what your traditional ISD schools are getting. So that's $1,897 less per student in every single seat that we have at Great Hearts. So we have 30 students a class. That's $56,000 less per classroom in comparison to your traditional ISD school. So when we talk about community investment, we talk about it because it's important, and the gap there is very real and it is very large. So imagine the impact that over $50,000 classroom, the amount of supplies and materials and curriculum and, extra fun things we could buy with $50,000. It's pretty drastic. If you asked a teacher, one of our teachers, what would you do with $50,000 for your classroom? Their eyes would light up and be like, what could I not do with $50,000 in my classroom? And so I think it's important just to kind of shed light on the fact that that's real. The funding gap exists. It's real and it's pretty large. So I'm going to move on to the next one. So like I just said, the funding deficit, if you multiply that towards all of our 725 students, the funding gap is over $1.3 million, which is incredible because we still, despite our funding gap, we still managed to provide and successfully provide, I might add, a rich and meaningful education to your students, which is amazing. And I think that it's a really big testament to the leadership of Great Hearts and being fiscally responsible and ensuring that no matter what we're working with, we're still going to provide your students with a top tier education, because we don't look at a number and say, okay, this is how much I can budget within this number, and this is how much these kids are going to get. No, we do it the other way around. We say, this is what we believe that every child should get and needs to learn, and we're going to figure out a way to make it work. And so that's exactly what we do. And that's a really large part of the reason why we support for community investment. So we need our families to help cover this gap. Families, community members, simply there's no other way that we really can run our school without community support. And so it really, really is truly important. And when we say thank you, we really genuinely mean it, because it truly does make a difference. So if you think about it, our curriculum and our culture, our rigor, the level of expectation we have at our school, it rivals private school. So if you think about the private schools around San Antonio, you have your San Antonio Christian School, St. Pius X, you have St. Mary's Hall. Those kinds of schools can run you $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a year. And we're doing very similar things. And we do it tuition free. We don't charge anybody any money because we're a public school, and because we don't think you should have to pay for something to get the best education. That's why we're a charter school. We genuinely believe that every child, no matter their background, no matter their history, where they come from, they deserve the opportunity to be able to, pursue truth, goodness, and beauty. And we mean it when we say that. So that's also another part of the reason that we chose to have a charter here in the state of Texas instead of going private, because we believe that every child should have the opportunity to experience that. So, our question today is, will you help us fill the gap? All of our donations that we, get from community investment, they're always tax deductible. I don't know that many parents know this. Great Hearts is a 501c3 nonprofit. So although we are a school, we are a charter school, we're a nonprofit. So we don't make any money. Community investment doesn't, pay me. It doesn't pay Headmaster Adello. It funnels straight back into the school, and every dollar that we receive literally goes towards the operating budget of our school. So community investment is actually an itemized line in our budget. So that's just the way that it's structured. And so it really, really, truly is meaningful and impactful when families choose to participate in supporting their school. And so, investing in our youth, these are the kids of tomorrow that are going to be taking care of us when we are old. And just knowing that they're getting a beautiful, rich education, not worried about the things that are going on in the outside world. They come into Great Hearts. They come into Great Hearts Live Oak, and it's just a shell, and their hearts and their souls, they're protected and they're loved. Every day when they come to school, and there's smiles and there's joy in our hallways. And I wish if Corona wasn't around, we would invite all of you in so that you could see the beauty that's going on. Obviously, due to safety things, we can't have that right now. But whenever it's safe, we're absolutely going to be inviting people into our building so that you guys can come see what's going on, because amazing things are happening at Great Hearts. And it truly is a joy to watch from the sidelines. And so let's go to the next slide here. So next question, why would you invest in this community? If you think about it, it is an investment, right? Your times, your talents, those are things that, you have to make a conscious choice to invest in. And it is an investment. It's an investment in your kids. It's an investment in the teachers. It's an investment in our school, in our community. So like, we're educating the mind, we're educating the body, we're educating the soul. We want your children to grow up to be good people. We genuinely mean it when we say truth, goodness, and beauty, that emphasis on goodness. I heard a headmaster once say, if our seniors get to the end of the course of high school and they get straight A's, but they're not good moral people, we've failed. And that really resonated with me, because it's true. What we're doing is not only to educate just the academics. Oh, can you do your math, your multiplication tables? That is important, absolutely. But are you a good person? Are you showing all the virtues that we place emphasis on? Responsibility, friendship, kindness, determination. Those kinds of things are far more crucial in the formation of your children's souls than knowing if they can memorize, all the dates in history of all the wars. It's important, right? That's what we're here for. We're a school, we're there to educate, but that's only half the component of what we do, and an emphasis on why our name is Great Hearts. We want your children to have great hearts, and we mean it when we say it, and we truly, truly believe that it is important. It is the keystone of what we do. So, like the next bullet says, seek to cultivate the hearts and minds of our students in the pursuit of truth, goodness, and beauty. Obviously, that's our lifeline, always. That's always what we seek to do. Excellent special education program. I'm not sure if many of the parents know, we do have a full special education program. We have 504 students. We have an ESL program as well. So our school is open to everybody, no matter what kind of services they need. Because we're a public school and because it's just who we are, we're going to get students the help that they need. And that also extends to our special education program. Our special ed team is amazing, and they do beautiful, beautiful things to support our special learners. And so it's amazing to watch. Let's see, next thing, rigorous curriculum. As all you parents know, Spalding and all the fun things that your kids come home with for homework. Our school, especially when kids are coming from a non-Great Hearts school, there's a transition period. Our school can be tough. It's hard. These kids are going to have to work, and they're going to have to be dedicated to their studies. And it's a good thing. It's a beautiful thing for them to have the privilege of getting such a top tier education. But that does mean that there are going to be times where they're going to, they're going to have to do their homework and they're going to have to study for a test. And it's just part of us building the scholarly students that we have. So most of the times we don't I call them students, but we're supposed to call them scholars because that's what they are. We're seeking to have them be scholars and seeking that knowledge and understanding and truly, yearning and leaning towards that. So anyways, next thing, high academic and behavioral expectations. That's another really, really large point. I'm not sure. Well, we haven't had any tours. So most parents probably haven't seen, unless last year parents went on a Great Hearts tour. If you've never been into a Great Hearts classroom, you would be blown away by the level of behavioral excellence in the classrooms. Students are on task. They are behaving. Obviously, they're still kids, so it's not 100% of the time, right? But they're respectful, they are kind, they listen, they raise their hands to listen. Ordered joy is what you see in the classroom. There is an order, there is a way to do things. We do teach manners, there is politeness, but there's joy, they're happy because children need that structure, right? They need that, they crave for that, they yearn for that, especially at the age where they just kind of want to, play all day, which is important. And we let them play, right? We have recess, it's important, they're children. However, they also do need structure and order. And that's why so many students thrive in our school, because we provide that. We always have and we always will. That's just the way we do things. So parallel to that, dedicated, well-trained teachers and staff. Our teachers love our kids so incredibly much. They really mean it. They've been putting in countless hours from this year, just doing distance learning and in-person learning and figuring out how to do simultaneous Zoom calls while teaching math in person, while answering a question, for a DLer and then in person at the same time. It is truly incredible to watch. I don't know how they do it, honestly. It is very impressive. And we are super, super, super grateful that they've been relentless and they're still excited. They're still happy to come to work every day and they love to see their kids. Which is amazing. Like, huge applause to them. I could not do what they do. I just applaud them. It's incredible. They are heroes for sure. So let's move on to the next one. So another thing, why would you invest in this community? Because it's your community. If you are a parent of GLOW, you are part of our community and we need you just as much as you need us. We are literally a community. It takes a village to raise a children and it takes a village to run a school. And so far, despite all of our, not setbacks, but despite all of our hurdles and obstacles that have come into place due to COVID-19 and the pandemic, safety things we've had to put into place, I feel like our school has done an incredible job of just taking off, and the parent community has been incredibly supportive, incredibly understanding, and just showing us so much grace. So thank you, parents. We could not do it without your support. You just getting up and bringing your kids to school every day with a smile on your face, even though you hate waiting in that car line, that brings us joy. And so we thank you for your partnership and for your willingness to bear with us as we figure things out and as we learn how to do online school and in-person school at the same time. It truly is an honor to work with you guys and to work for you guys in educating your students. It really has been an amazing year. So obviously every dollar makes a difference. Like I said, the funding gap is over $1.3 million. Our school goal is not $1.3 million. That would be really crazy, especially for a year one school. So our community investment goal this year for our 2021 school year is $185,000. That's what we are seeking to raise to, it's not going to close the gap, right? $1.3 million. It can't literally close the whole gap, but that will get us to a place to where our school will be, in a fiscally responsible state. And so that's what we're seeking to do. So far, we have about $100,000 pledged. And so what pledging is when a parent, so everybody had to have registered for Great Hearts. So when a parent registers, there's a form in there that says community investment. And if you choose to say, yes, I will make a gift, that is considered a pledge. So we have $100,000 pledged to our school. So that means we're almost at about that 50% mark. And so we're hoping that as the school year continues, that our community investment support will increase. Obviously, we want to reach our goal. It's really, really important for the health of our school, for us to reach our goal and to make sure that our students are supported and our teachers as well. Community investment goes towards everything. It's kind of hard to tell exact numbers of what things go towards because it literally goes for everything. It goes towards our teacher salaries. It goes for the employee benefits. It goes towards, classroom libraries. It goes towards, let's see, I'm drawing a blank here. Like all the math manipulatives. It goes towards keeping the lights on, all the chairs that we needed to buy. The soccer field, the PE equipment. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Everything that we need to buy, community investment funnels into that. And so it really, really is a key stakeholder in ensuring that our school, thrives in terms of financial stability. So, okay, that is all I have. I did not intend for this to be a very long, drawn out, presentation. There's not too much to say in terms of what it's for. We know what it's for. There's a funding gap and we want to close it. But I want to take this time to open up the floor for any questions. I'm going to close this out, but where did I go? There I am. So I would like people to ask questions. If you guys have any, it can be community investment related. It doesn't necessarily have to. If y'all just have any questions, period. I would love to take this time while I'm here on the live to see if there's anything that you guys want to know. If there's no questions, that's totally fine. But this is the perfect opportunity to ask those questions that you've always wondered and never had the opportunity to ask. So I am going to just hold on a second here to see if any questions pop in. Okay, I'm going to wait a couple more minutes. And if you are watching this, I wanted to say, oh, thank you, Miss Lorenzo. You're sweet. You are very, very welcome. And we're super glad to have your family here at our school. Mr. Saldana, will there be other, actually, look, I can pop up on here. Will there be other opportunities like Big Give to make our donation go further? That is a great question. And the answer to that question is yes. So in December, you guys are getting the inside scoop because we haven't announced it yet. But in December, the last week before school goes out for winter break, Great Hearts has something that is called 5 Days of Giving. And it is a week of giving right towards our community investment campaign where we will have different matches, things like that. And we also will have a spirit week for the kids just to get them excited for when they come back to going to winter break. So usually we haven't solidified what they are yet, but usually we'll have like a crazy sock day, crazy hat day, college t-shirt day, those kinds of things. So that's going to be the last week of December before we go out for winter break. So keep your eye out for that because that will be another opportunity for you to give and have your donation match. So to make your monies go further. So absolutely, yes. Great question. Mr. Titus, do we know when sports will start? That is a good question. So Coach Clark is going to be the one that is handling all athletics. And the last that I heard, they were finalizing a website portal to get some kind all the physicals and things back on track. So if I had to take a guess, I'm going to vote Q3 probably in January. And it really depends on what the league is doing. The charter schools are part of a charter school association league for athletic sports and those kinds of things, like your basketball, your cross country, that sort of event. So whatever they're doing, and whenever we have the manpower and the ability to do it, we absolutely will do it. Headmaster Adello is super excited about that, and Coach Clark is as well. And so I don't want to give you an exact date because I don't know, but it's going to be soon. It's in the works, and it will be coming hopefully soon. All right, Nook. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad to provide all this information. I know this is not something that most people, community investment isn't really something that people know unless you tell them. And so I'm glad that you guys tuned in and got to kind of see what it's about. And if y'all ever have any like specific questions about community investment, let me know. I know that there are certain things that I learn every day that I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. And we learn something new every day. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Y'all are super sweet. Okay, I'll wait a couple more seconds before I log off. It has been a long day. In case y'all did not tune in this morning, we had our Veterans Day virtual assembly this morning, which is a really beautiful tribute to all of our veteran Glow community members. So if anyone's watching and you're a veteran, thank you for your service. And I was the one running it, and I got here very, very early this morning. So as you can imagine, I am very tired. But it was a beautiful event. So if you didn't get to tune in, you can go back. It was on Facebook Live, so it'll be there, saved as a video. And it was a really, really special event. And we were really grateful to be able to honor our heroes. And I wish I had gotten a video of Mr. Jackson and Mrs. Winstead, Mr. Pacheco, and Mr. Phillips getting their cards. So all of our kids made them cards, like they hand wrote them little cards, like even the kindergartners. It was so cute. So we presented it to them. So sweet. The sixth graders made this, I don't even know what they're called, the 3-part poster board. They surprised the sixth grade teachers, and they made one for the veterans on campus. And so they presented it, and it was so incredibly sweet. We have such good kids at our school. Ms. Markaloff, will there be field trips this year? So that's a good question. And it's kind of a 2-part answer. The answer to a physical field trip, like the students going to Natural Bridge Caverns on a bus, no. We're probably not this year if I had to take a guess. But we are allowing field trips to come into the classroom. So I'm trying to think of someone that would come in. So say, the snake farm in New Braunfels. Say they had an opportunity to have somebody come out with some neat animals and to come into the kinder classroom and show them the animals they've been learning about in school. That would be something that we could do. If there's something on the field that we want to organize, those are opportunities that we are allowing. So field trips in that capacity we're just going to bring the field trips to the kids this year, just for the safety, especially with everything going on. So if you'll have any field trip ideas for the teachers, let me know. We would love to talk and think about those things, because we know that the kids, field trips are fun when you're a kid. And so we want to make sure we can still provide those if we're able to. So, the Veterans Day tribute was wonderful. Oh, thank you. It really was beautiful. Colonel Swinney, bless his heart, he was so excited. He was like, that was just so great. He's at home. Wasn't feeling well, but we were really, really glad to do it. We're so close to the military base. A lot of the students, it was really neat to see in the cards that they made for all the veterans. You could see they were all drawing some, planes and helicopters. Because we're so close to the base, they run their drills right above the field. So we see the planes going by, and when they do their formations and everything like that. So it was really cool to see that, they're watching, they see it, they understand that, hey, like that's a military plane, that's a military helicopter going by. So it's really, really neat to see. Is there an outdoor sports field day plan? That is a good question. The answer to that question is unknown. There's not one planned. If I had to take a guess, if the coronavirus cases keep climbing the way they have been, I think if we were to do an event like that, it would probably be like a modified version of it, maybe like just by class section or that kind of thing. Field day is a huge part of Great Hearts. It is so fun. We look forward to that every year. So I'm not sure. Nothing's planned. Typically, it's at the end of the year anyway. So it's like your March, April. It's in the spring. So we probably wouldn't start planning that till January, February if we were going to have it. But if we do, and we still have the same type of restrictions that we have now, I honestly don't know. But as of right now, no, nothing Nothing is planned, but yes, like an alternative probably would work. I don't want to promise anything, but field day is fun, and I would love to provide something like that for the kids. So hopefully we are able to do that. Okay, everybody. Well, it is 7:00. If you have any last minute questions, pop them in the chat really quick. Oh, the swag bag. I almost forgot. So let's see. Oh, I don't know. I wish I could pick a random generator. Thank you for getting better with the traffic flow. Love it. You are welcome. If it makes parents feel better, traffic and pickup is as much of a headache as it is for you as it is for us. So I'm just kidding. It's really not. It's fine. I will say though, a large part of the reason that it's not flowing as quickly as we'd like is due to all of the social distancing that we have to do. We literally social distance the kids from the time they get out of their classroom to in the car. And so imagine the amount of kids you could fit within 6 feet of each other if you didn't have to social distance, like how many more kids would come out at a time. Usually we would be done like at least 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes quicker. But because of all the social distancing, we have to make sure that we keep the kids safe. So thank you for your patience with that. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna log off. Thank you guys. Miss Lorenzo, email me. You can get a Great Hearts. You want a Great Hearts swag bag filled with a bunch of goodies that you can represent your school spirit with. So thank you guys. If you'll ever have any questions, my email is amelia.dick@greatheartsliveoak.org. Feel free to reach out with any questions. I'm here to support you guys and your kids. So if there's anything you guys may ever need, I am here to support you guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow in Carline. Thank you so much, y'all. Have a good evening.